Hello everyone, and welcome to DrakeMakes. Between artificial intelligence image generation and Unreal Engine 5, I feel like I'm working in a digital renaissance. And now, in order to continue realizing I'm in the future, I'm working on virtual reality level design. Sorry Facebook, I'm building my own reality. I've had a good old HTC Vive since 2016, and I've been pretty enamored with virtual reality ever since. I'm not sure if there's ever really been an opportunity to be so directly immersed in art. Ever since I first loaded up programs like Tilt Brush, I felt like this medium was completely untapped. The sense of scale one can get from virtual reality is incredible, and from an artistic standpoint, I get inspired beyond belief when exploring digital maps. Before I started the channel, I even worked on my own custom map mods for the game Boneworks, which haven't gotten released yet. And while they were a pain to get together working in an old version of Unity, being able to enter a world of your creation in 3D is absolutely stunning. So I want that feeling again. Now that Unreal Engine 5 has been VR ready for a while, let's make a digital Oasis getaway. The search for reference is over. Now you generate it. To get started, I generated a reference board of images of Egyptian and Roman-inspired bathhouses and gathering halls, utilizing Stable Diffusion AI. I cannot stress enough how much of a game changer it is being able to completely circumvent the concept art process and generate images exactly to your specifications. Artificial intelligence is going to usher in a golden age of art. I laid out a whole slew of my favorite images in PureRef, and I gotta say, seeing all of the generated images displayed like this is incredibly satisfying. So now that we've got our beautiful instant reference images, I loaded up the Unreal Engine 5 VR template. So I start with some cubes with beveled edges to begin placing a foundation. To bevel the edges with the modeling tools under Poly Edit, I'm able to select all of the edges of the cube and apply a bevel modifier. The materials from the starter content tile pretty well, so I reference the concept art and apply a material accordingly. I use these simple cubes as building blocks. While the scene is going to be much larger, I try to create individual square areas that are roughly the size of my VR play space. Using some basic shapes in the Mesh Pool tool, I'm able to create some basic arches. This is going to be one of the main pieces used throughout the scene. Jumping forward a bit, I began placing some Megascan's columns and decided on a couple of the textures I was going to be using. On the surface, it would seem like building a level for VR would be just like building any other scene. But the level running in the viewport does not mean it will run in the headset, so I had to use lower quality models and make a lot of little adjustments to keep performance up. This meant lots of pressing play, putting on the headset, being disappointed, and then fixing accordingly. Like I mentioned, I am using Megascan's assets in this scene, but I downloaded the low poly versions of them so that way they're more performance friendly. I'm building this scene in the template map just for the sake of learning, and right now I'm copying over the lightmass importance volume and the navigation mesh into the scene. For future reference, I would wait to do this until the end because now every time I added any geometry, the navigation mesh would have to update. I added these big discs for shade to create these sort of cabana type areas. These are going to house a bunch of furniture type assets. It's fun blocking out geometry like this with all that AI generated reference. It really helps you make decisions I don't think you would have made otherwise. I downloaded this Roman fresco texture which I applied to a decal actor. This is a great way to instantly add a bunch of detail to your scene. I think these look great, especially in VR. use Polyedit again to add more arched elements to the scene. The scene was looking pretty gray, so using the water planes pack, I added in some water features around. This is about as simple as it's going to get with water. It's just an animated material applied to a plane. The only adjustment I made to it was adjusting the color so it was more of that bright tropical water look. And now for furniture. The layout wasn't completely finished, but with the basic shapes down in the environment, I then wanted to add detail in the forms of furniture and more of those decal actors. This month, there's a free interior assets kit which I made use of here, lining the couches up vaguely to the height of my chair in real life so I could actually sit down in the environment. Laying out the couches and the chairs really started bringing the scene to life. For even more detail, I added in some Megascan's planters, and I intended to fill these with foliage, but I quickly found out that any sort of plants tanked my frames per second. This interior pack's great. It even comes with individual cushions you can place, so I spent a little time scattering those around. I felt like a real interior decorator for a little bit. Then it's back to basic geometry. Here I start putting in a wall around the whole scene. Behind the walls, I am going to be making use of the sandstone mountain assets from the Megascans library to make something on the horizon to look at. Pretty rough on their own, so to give it some unity, I added in some giant cubes to blend the assets together. I'm not too sure why I made this decision, but I think it turns out cool in the end. And anyways, it was only important that this looked good from afar and on the ground. I felt the rooftops looked boring, so I just started hitting copy and paste until I stopped feeling that way. Back to decal actors. I found this strip of mosaic that I used to wrap around a bunch of the walls. Since foliage wasn't working in VR, I made these green marble cube trees. I kinda love them. The scene further, I used a different furniture pack to add more visual variety. This pack had some great looking couches and tables which I was able to scatter around. decorating felt like I was playing a Sims game. Once everything is placed, for virtual reality you have to bake the lighting like we used to have to do before the magic of real-time with Nanite and Lumen. And doing so, this took a couple of tries. The first few lighting builds completely broke the scene. It looked absolutely terrible, but once I did some Googling and ironed out the bugs, we have our virtual world. Software running, I was lagging pretty hard at times, but nevertheless, we have our scene. And here I am, sitting on my virtual couch. This might be one of the best feelings ever. Making a world in your computer and then walking around in it is absolutely exhilarating. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this week's project. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.